Have you ever had someone simply disappear from your life without any explanation? You might think you're the only one who's felt the weight of that absence. But in reality, this is something we all experience. When someone leaves without a word, it stirs up emotions that are difficult to put into words. You may feel confused, abandoned, or even relieved. But what does it really mean when people disappear from your life? And why does it affect us so deeply? In today's video, we'll dive into the 9 things that happen when someone simply disappears through the lens of Stoic philosophy, so you can understand and handle this situation with wisdom and resilience. In a world full of connections, disappearances, whether they're physical, emotional, or even social, can be jarring. People walk in and out of our lives constantly, but sometimes someone you care about vanishes, leaving nothing but silence. In this video, we're going to explore not just the emotions that come with such an event, but how Stoicism can help us understand, cope with, and even grow from these experiences. Whether you're dealing with the disappearance of a friend, a partner, or even just someone you thought you could rely on, Stoic teachings offer us a powerful framework to handle it. So, let's explore what it means when someone leaves, and how Stoicism provides the tools to find peace in the chaos. When someone disappears from your life, the emotional impact can be profound. This isn't just about losing a person. It's about the hole they leave behind in your world. The absence is a void that often feels unnatural. People, especially those we are close to, are more than just figures in our lives. They represent stability, companionship, and trust. When that disappears, it creates a ripple effect that disturbs your sense of balance. What makes this experience even more complex is the suddenness with which it happens. Often, there is no explanation, no warning, and no closure. You may find yourself questioning why they left, what went wrong, and whether there was something you could have done differently. This sudden shift can disrupt your peace of mind, leaving you with more questions than answers. In those moments, feelings of abandonment, rejection, and confusion are inevitable. The challenge is that, when faced with this emotional upheaval, it's easy to react impulsively. You might want to chase after the person who disappeared, beg for answers, or spiral into despair. But none of these responses bring true resolution. In fact, they often lead to more suffering. This is where Stoicism can offer clarity. Instead of succumbing to the emotional chaos, Stoic principles urge us to take a step back and view the situation through a different lens, one that allows us to regain control of our emotions and take responsibility for our own peace. Emotional responses. One of the first things that happens when someone disappears is the overwhelming emotional response. Our immediate reaction to their absence can range from hurt and confusion to anger and resentment. These emotions often stem from feeling like we were left in the dark. When someone simply vanishes, it's as though the rules of the relationship have been broken without notice. You might start questioning your worth, wondering why they didn't feel the need to explain or communicate. From a Stoic perspective, however, these emotional reactions are an indication that we have placed too much value on the presence of another person. According to the Stoics, our peace of mind should never depend on external factors like someone else's actions or their presence in our life. The key lesson here is to focus on what is within our control. While you can't control when or why someone leaves, you can control how you respond to it. By practicing Stoicism, you can shift from an emotional reaction to a rational understanding that allows you to process the event with calmness. The Stoics teach us that emotions like anger and resentment are the result of our attachments to things we cannot control. Marcus Aurelius, a prominent Stoic philosopher, once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." So, when faced with someone's disappearance, we must focus on our internal responses, rather than external circumstances. This shift in focus allows us to regain our emotional balance and move toward peace, even in the face of uncertainty and loss. Loss of trust is a cornerstone of any relationship. When someone leaves without explanation, it shatters that trust, creating feelings of betrayal. The absence of closure or communication can make you question everything about the relationship. Was it genuine? Were you being deceived? These questions can fester in your mind, feeding a cycle of distrust not just toward the person who disappeared, but toward others as well. The world starts to seem less predictable, and your ability to trust others may weaken. However, from a Stoic standpoint, trust must first be placed in oneself. While it's important to maintain healthy relationships, the Stoics' importance of self-trust. This doesn't mean being cynical or withdrawing from others. It means recognizing that your trust in others should be based on their actions, not your need for validation. When someone leaves, rather than seeing it as a personal betrayal, the Stoics encourage us to reflect on the situation with an open mind. Did their actions align with your expectations? If not, perhaps this is an opportunity to refine your judgment and understanding of others. The Stoic approach to rebuilding trust involves embracing ataraxia, a state of inner tranquility that is undisturbed by external events. In other words, even if someone betrays your trust, it does not disturb your inner peace. You can choose to forgive and move forward, knowing that your trust in others doesn't need to compromise your emotional stability. This is an essential element of Stoic wisdom, trusting in your own judgment and maintaining inner peace, regardless of others' actions. I hope this expansion helps set the tone for the beginning of your video. I've expanded the hook, introduction, and first few parts of the exploration section, and this should bring the script closer to your desired word count. Let me know if you'd like further revisions or additions. 3. Feelings of abandonment, another significant emotional reaction that follows the disappearance of someone from your life, is a deep sense of abandonment. You may feel like you were left behind, forgotten, or discarded. This is particularly true if the person who disappeared was someone you were emotionally invested in. The void they leave behind can be suffocating. It can feel like a part of your life has been ripped away without warning. From a Stoic perspective, this feeling of abandonment arises from an attachment to external sources of happiness. The Stoics teach us that our happiness should not be dependent on people, possessions, or external circumstances. When someone disappears, it reveals an attachment that has been formed, one that is now causing you emotional pain. Instead of seeing the situation as something done to you, Stoicism encourages us to view it as an opportunity to practice amor fati, the love of fate. This concept teaches us to embrace everything that happens in life, whether good or bad, as a necessary part of our journey. B. While practicing amor fati, you shift your mindset from one of victimhood to empowerment. Rather than wallowing in the pain of abandonment, you can choose to accept it as part of life's natural flow. It's not that the pain disappears, but the Stoic mindset allows you to transform it into something meaningful, a chance for growth, self-reflection, and emotional strength. confusion and lack of closure. One of the most disorienting aspects of someone disappearing without explanation is the profound sense of confusion. You're left with so many unanswered questions, and that ambiguity can make it hard to move forward. What went wrong? Was there something you missed? Did they ever care? These questions swirl in your mind, making it difficult to find peace. In Stoic philosophy, the focus is on the present moment and accepting things as they are. The Stoics believe that seeking closure is often an exercise in futility, especially when the closure relies on external factors that we cannot control. Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The lack of closure isn't the problem. The real problem lies in our attachment to the idea that we need answers or explanations to feel at peace. The Stoics would advise us to accept that life is inherently uncertain, and some things may never be explained. When we let go of the need for closure, we open ourselves up to a greater sense of peace. The journey of self-discovery and learning to trust our own judgment and perception becomes more important than the resolution of external circumstances. Through Stoic practices, like meditation and reflection, you can start to find clarity within yourself rather than depending on the actions of others. The impact on self-worth, another critical aspect that arises when someone disappears, is the impact it has on your self-worth. It's easy to feel as though you are somehow less valuable because someone left without explanation. You may wonder if you did something wrong, or if you are simply not good enough for that person to stick around. This can create feelings of shame or insecurity, making you question your value in relationships and your ability to connect with others. Stoicism, however, teaches that your self-worth is not determined by others' opinions or actions. According to the Stoics, we are not defined by how others treat us, but by how we choose to treat ourselves. Your value is inherent and independent of external events. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." This means that your self-worth is shaped by the way you think about yourself, not by the actions of others. Instead of allowing the disappearance of someone to diminish your self-worth, Stoic wisdom encourages you to cultivate self-love and self-respect. Reflect on your own virtues, strengths, and achievements. Practice gratitude for the things that make you resilient, capable, and worthy of love. By focusing on your internal character rather than external validation, you can maintain your dignity and confidence regardless of what others do. Insecurity, when felt due to someone's disappearance, often manifests as a deep, gnawing feeling that something is inherently wrong. It taps into a person's worst fear, that they are not important enough to be given attention or consideration. This feeling can spread like wildfire, affecting the person's self-esteem and their ability to trust others. For someone who has just been left behind, the absence of someone they cared about can feel like the loss of a crucial support system. Stoicism teaches us that our external circumstances should not dictate our sense of self-worth. The value of an individual is not tied to the fleeting presence or absence of others in our lives, but to their actions, their integrity, and their capacity to live a virtuous life. Insecurity, as an emotional response to someone's disappearance, reveals how easily people tie their sense of worth to external validation. The Stoics would remind us to place our trust in our own character, not in the approval of others. When we begin to develop this inner confidence, we can navigate the challenge of insecurity with a greater sense of peace. To combat insecurity, Stoic teachings suggest a focus on autarkia, or self-sufficiency. When we become reliant on our own wisdom and virtues, external factors, like whether or not someone chooses to disappear from our life, lose their power over us. Understanding that others' actions are outside of our control helps build mental resilience, making it easier to accept that someone's absence does not diminish our value in the slightest. Relief. It might seem paradoxical, but there is a distinct possibility that the person left behind feels relief when someone disappears from their life. If a relationship had been unhealthy, whether toxic, draining, or simply stagnant, the disappearance of the other person could be a much-needed escape from that emotional burden. This sense of relief can come as a shock at first, especially if the relationship had once been meaningful, but over time, the absence can bring clarity and peace. For those who disappear, this relief might also serve as a crucial lesson that sometimes we need to create space between ourselves and others in order to preserve our mental and emotional health. Stoicism teaches us that maintaining our peace should always be a priority. We must remember that while relationships are important, they should never come at the cost of our own well-being. This means being willing to let go when necessary, even if it causes temporary discomfort. From a Stoic perspective, this relief signifies a healthy boundary being drawn. It's not about abandoning people for selfish reasons, but rather acknowledging that our own mental and emotional health must come first. The Stoics value serenity above all else, and the ability to step away from draining relationships or environments is an essential part of achieving this inner peace. While others may feel relief in our absence, it's important for us to assess whether that relief is a sign of growth for both parties involved. Regret is a heavy emotion. It can be a moment of reckoning, where the individual left behind grapples with the what-ifs and should-haves. There is often a sense of disbelief that something ended without warning or explanation. Regret can be all-consuming, leading a person to replay events over and over again, seeking signs they may have missed or clues they ignored. It's a feeling that forces the person to confront their own role in the situation and whether they could have done something to prevent it. From a Stoic standpoint, regret is an emotion that arises from the belief that we should have acted differently in the past. However, the Stoics emphasize the importance of focusing on what is within our control. We cannot change what has already happened, and regret, while natural, can become an obstacle to our peace if we allow it to dominate our thoughts. Marcus Aurelius, a famous Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. The key here is that we cannot control others' actions, and therefore, we should not dwell on the past or waste energy on the things we can no longer change. Acceptance, the final emotional reaction to someone's disappearance, is acceptance. After the initial shock, sadness, or regret has passed, many individuals will eventually come to terms with the change. They may realize that not all relationships are meant to last forever, and that it's okay to let go. If someone chooses to disappear from our life, we should neither cling to the past nor resist the natural flow of change. Instead, we should accept what has happened, learn from it, and continue our journey with a sense of inner peace. Acceptance does not mean giving up or resigning ourselves to fate. It simply means letting go of resistance and trusting that everything happens for a reason. The key moment in this script is understanding how to disappear from someone's life while maintaining inner peace and respect for the other person. The Stoic principles of clarity, detachment, and self-preservation guide us through this delicate process. Detachment, in Stoic philosophy, is the ability to separate ourselves from the emotions and expectations of others. It does not mean being callous or indifferent. It simply means that we do not allow ourselves to become overly attached to the reactions of others. When we detach emotionally from a situation, we free ourselves from the burden of guilt or fear. We act with the knowledge that we are doing what is best for our well-being, and that the consequences of our actions are outside of our control. Finally, self-preservation is a critical Stoic concept. Our primary responsibility is to ourselves, and this means protecting our mental, emotional, and physical health. If a relationship is causing us harm or impeding our growth, we must have the courage to step away. While it may be painful for both parties, self-preservation ensures that we can continue our journey toward flourishing, free from the distractions and negative energy that might hold us back. By combining clarity, detachment, and self-preservation, we can disappear from someone's life without leaving emotional wreckage behind. We can maintain our integrity while also recognizing that sometimes separation is necessary for growth. This is the Stoic key to handling disappearance. Doing so thoughtfully and with respect, while always keeping our own well-being at the forefront. As we conclude, it's clear that disappearance, whether voluntary or forced, can provoke a wide range of emotions in the person left behind. From insecurity to relief, regret to acceptance, these emotional reactions reflect the complexities of human connection. But through the lens of Stoic philosophy, we learn that our reactions to these situations can be managed and understood in a healthier, more peaceful way. The Stoic teachings guide us to understand that while we cannot control the emotions of others, we can control our own actions. The decision to disappear should not be taken lightly, but it should also not be feared. As long as we approach it with clarity, empathy, and self-awareness, we can navigate the situation with integrity. We can be at peace with our decisions, knowing that we are acting in alignment with our own values, and we can help others understand that their reactions are part of their own journey, not ours to bear. In the end, Stoicism encourages us to accept the impermanence of relationships and to embrace change as a natural part of life. By understanding and applying these principles, we can handle disappearances with grace, ensuring that we maintain our peace while respecting others' emotional journeys. If you found these Stoic insights valuable, don't forget to subscribe for more practical wisdom on navigating life's challenges.